the Defense Intelligence Agency was one of the worst. They dragged their feet, even though there was one of their senior scientists thought they should look at this. And remember, all we're saying, nobody has to agree that why it's there, but shouldn't we at least be spending some money to study all these phenomena? Should we study this stuff? The answer is yes. And why the federal government all these years has covered up, put brake pads on everything, stopped it. I think it's very, very bad for our country.
We received some photographs in regards to experimental aircraft that was displayed in Dubai at a convention center. They're showcasing evidence that could be what we've all known as, for a long time, the Tic Tac. Recently, these photographs of this experimental aircraft known as the Fighter, developed by Sightings, explains that they've discovered some kind of new way of flight. There's no need for wings or propellers. This thing, there's some kind of meta propulsion behind it. A meta propulsion that is unknown to the public at the moment, but right now the science is there. Apparently the meta behind this can make this craft hover in the sky and travel for hundreds of miles on one charge. What's behind it? What kind of technology is creating this lift on this object itself? Right now, there's some patents being developed and being put through before they release this technology to the public, but they're saying that it could be out in just a year from now.
Next year in May, they're going to be bringing out the prototype of this vehicle, and it doesn't need wings, it doesn't need a propeller, it seats two and the luggage you need comfortably, and you can go about 140 kilometers on a charge, I guess. They're not telling us what the technology is. I can't imagine. What is it? Is it...
In what may be one of the most revealing interviews of our time, nuclear physicist Bob Lazar speaks candidly about his top secret work at the government's saucer research facility known as Area S4. In 1989, he was hired by the military to back-engineer the propulsion system of an extraterrestrial craft.
Obviously, the ET craft do exist. Something had to build them, so there must be aliens. And since there are, and the craft were there must be some sort of factory and an entire civilization somewhere. And if in fact that is true, and it apparently is, then there must be others.
Contact cases are by far the rarest type of UFO sighting. In these instances, a ship or a number of ships are repeatedly sighted by a single witness over an extended period of time. Over the last several years, a Miami resident named Adrienne had what is now considered one of the best documented contact cases in history. At first, the sightings began occurring at some distance from his home, but it wasn't long before the craft began appearing over his backyard. This amazing video footage shows a glowing disc approximately 9 feet in diameter hovering just feet from his house. In a blink of an eye, the craft disappears. Once the footage is slowed down, we can clearly see the craft dematerialize frame by frame. Adrienne's contact case took place over a period of several years and was never reported to the authorities for fear of ridicule and reprisals. Among the numerous hours of footage taken, this sighting remains one of the most dramatic. It began at 10:03 p.m. on October the 20th, 1995, and took place over a 50-minute period. The encounter ended with Adrienne following the craft at high speeds down the freeway. Here we see the craft minutes after the sighting begins. This extraordinary footage has never been broadcast and is being shown here for the first time. Clearly, we can see the craft hovering silently over the homes below. These large crafts are commonly referred to as beam ships, or in some cases, motherships. They gained their reputation by their reported immense size and softly glowing light emitted by the craft's operation. Approximately 38 minutes into the sighting, the ship began hovering away from his house. He followed the craft in his car and stopped along the freeway to film it hovering near an apartment complex. Minutes later, the craft flew directly over Miami's International Airport, where it hovered momentarily. The ship then flew into a residential area and accelerated out of sight. As the craft emerged from a wooded field, he was able to continue videotaping, but it wasn't long before it began accelerating again. While pacing it at over 50 miles an hour, it flew off out of sight. This slow-motion enhancement clearly shows the craft as it's speeding along the shoreline. To this day, Adrien maintains he is still experiencing the reoccurring sightings. Since then, they have frequently appeared in UFO sighting reports. This cigar-shaped craft was filmed hovering in Rhode Island in 1967. A similar elongated UFO was videotaped in 1980 in the skies over Hagen, Germany. These pictures of a cigar-shaped UFO were taken in California. This UFO was photographed in Earth's orbit. Crowds gathered in Krasnodar, Russia, to marvel at this luminous cigar-shaped UFO. This dramatic footage was later broadcast on Soviet television.
The evidence is overwhelming. No single program in history has ever amassed such a compelling collection of footage. We'll use computer analysis, optical enhancement, and expert testimony to help bring the truth to light. But first, when did these sightings begin? The evidence suggests that mankind has been visited since the dawn of time. Recently, researchers point to one undeniable event that sparked the largest wave of sightings in history: the detonation of the atomic bomb.
Unknowingly, we had sent an invitation to the universe, establishing ourselves as an advanced civilization.
The Air Force has officially analyzed the motives of possible visitors from space. Here is a direct quotation from the official report.
If advanced civilizations wanted to monitor our nuclear technology, New Mexico was the place to be. Because of its remote location, New Mexico was the site of the military's atomic research and testing. Post-war missile tests were conducted at White Sands, sounding discovery, and were treated as an issue of national security. At the end of MJ-12's preliminary investigation, General Nathan F. Twining issued a top-secret memo relating their findings. The memo stated that, quote, "The phenomenon is something real and not visionary or fictitious. There are objects probably approximating the shape of a disk, of such appreciable size as to appear to be as large as man-made aircraft, yet circular or elliptical in shape, flat on the bottom and domed on the top, and making no associated sound." In his report, the general described the alien craft as capable of extreme maneuverability and very evasive when sighted or contacted by friendly aircraft.
By the early 1950s, the public was fully aware of the growing UFO phenomenon. As the number of sightings increased, the government began more research.
Frozen alien corpse. Scientists have discovered this frozen alien corpse in Russia. It was found by two people in Siberia after claims of a UFO came to Earth. Allegedly, it was missed by the Russian military after they cleaned up the area after the crash. The corpse was pretty damaged, but the being was 2 feet high and part of his right leg was missing. Also, apparently this particular area in Russia is a hotspot for UFO sightings, and there are a number of reports of sightings every single year. In fact, there was a sighting that reported seeing a UFO crash in the area, and so the finding of this alien corpse aligns with that sighting. Whoa, I want to go to Siberia now. If there is anyone watching from Russia, from Siberia, please tell us of any other sightings that you may have come across in the comment section below. In a number 9 spot, we have traces of potential alien DNA. Scientists have recently discovered traces of DNA outside some of the Antarctic caves, which could suggest alien life. From algae DNA to small animals, there was so much evidence to support the idea that perhaps there once was a lot more living species in Antarctica. They did not come across any animals in the caves at the time, but they still found this to be a great discovery and have reason to believe that they will discover more evidence as they continue their search, or perhaps alien life might be underneath the ice sheets as there are warm temperatures coming from underneath the sheets. and that would suggest that it might be a place they could easily live in. In our number 8 spot, we have UFO discovered. That's right, in October of 2020, satellite photos of Antarctica were taken that had many people stop in their tracks. Surrounded by ice and snow, and with some ice still on it, we see an object that looks like half of a flying saucer that is also a bit raised, casting a shadow around it. As the ice sheets continue to melt around the world, it is believed that is why it has now been revealed, and it is also believed that this is potentially an aircraft from thousands, if not millions of years ago. According to experts, Antarctica would be a great place for aliens to go to because of how sterile it is, so it would make sense to land there. Of course, this is all speculation and there's nothing further on this discovery at this time. In our number 7 spot, we have the Alaskan alien. On January 3rd, 1989, NASA's Alaska York Station made a great discovery. They found an alien frozen in ice. Yep, an alien, just like you see in the movies with the great big eyes and bald head. Makes you wonder if perhaps the movies are showcasing these creatures the same because we've already discovered aliens and someone somewhere is telling illustrators to paint them a specific way. I wish I was someone that had pull to know all of this top secret information, although I guess if I was, then I wouldn't be able to make this video, as I would probably have a target on my back. There is no other information on this discovery as it is considered top secret, but it is definitely a sign that alien life has been to this planet.
Number 6. Rosemount UFOs. A man living in Rosemount said he encountered a similar UFO on 4 separate occasions. On August 4th, 2017, the man was near his Rosemount home when he saw what he described as a black object with bright orange lights coming from the craft and flying over the area. Nearly a month later, on September 6, 2017, he saw 3 crafts with the same description hovering above downtown Rosemont. 2 days later, a singular craft returned to Invergrove Heights, and he spotted the craft one last time on March 12, 2018. The man took photos or videos for each of the events and submitted it to the Mutual UFO Network. Seems like these aliens could have been stalking him, which I think is even more creepy. Number 5. Navy pilots. Recently, 2 former Navy pilots were interviewed by 60 Minutes on CBS News about a UFO sighting over the Pacific Ocean in 2004. Commander Dave Fravor and Lieutenant Commander Alex Dietrich spotted the unidentified object during a training exercise, but were unable to classify it. Dave described it as a little white tic-tac looking object, adding that it lacked conventional exhaust plumes and had no wings or visible markings. It also moved erratically, the pilot said. In an interview with NBC News, Dave described the 2004 encounter, calling the object the strangest, most obscure thing I've ever seen flying. As soon as we look down, we see the white water and then we see this little white tic-tac. It's pointing north-south and it's just going forward, back, left, right, he said, adding that it was bouncing around like a ping pong ball. Dave said he approached the mysterious object to take a closer look and it began mirroring his movements. Then when the pilot decided to get within half a mile of the UFO, it suddenly vanished. I'm surprised the government even let them do this interview, but my question is, if he did get closer, what were they gonna do? Wave hi to the aliens? Number 4. Multiple objects in the sky. Ryan Graves, a former Navy pilot who testified that he witnessed unidentified aerial phenomenon, UAP, with his own eyes, and he called on President Joe Biden to investigate the mysterious objects spotted in American airspace. Ryan, a former fighter pilot, explained that after 2014, when upgrades were made to our radar system, our squadron made a startling discovery. There were unknown objects in our airspace. And these were not mere balloons like the Chinese spy balloon that dominated the country's attention in February. These were no mere balloons. They could hold their position, appearing motionless, despite Category 4 hurricane force winds of 120 knots. They did not have any visible means to lift or control surfaces. In other words, nothing that resembled normal aircraft with wings, flaps, or engines. These are not isolated incidents, Ryan said. We have a real UFO problem and it's not balloons. The point is that we don't have as clear as an understanding of what's above our heads as we thought we did. There are uncertainties up there that we have to deal with. If we don't do it, our adversaries are going to take advantage of that uncertainty, that weakness, to spy on us with various means, as we've seen. It's pretty clear. If there are things over our head that we're not sure what they are, we need to figure it out. If they're adversarial, it's a national security issue, we have mechanisms for that. If it's not a national security issue, and if it's not an adversarial platform, then it's a matter for scientific inquiry. Not gonna lie, this scares me a little. Number 3, leaked video. A leaked Navy video captured in July 2019 showed a sphere-shaped unidentified object flying over water near San Diego. The footage obtained by documentary filmmaker and shared with NBC News appeared to show the mysterious object flying for a few minutes before disappearing into the water. The video was captured by a Navy aircraft and recorded in the USS Alma's Combat Information Center, according to filmmaker Jeremy Corbell. The clip appeared to show a spherical object flying above the water for a few minutes near San Diego before it just vanishes. It splashed, military personnel can be heard saying in the video. The Defense Department confirmed that the clip was recorded by Navy personnel and said that it will be reviewed by the Pentagon's Unidentified Aerial Phenomena Task Force, a panel established last year to gain insight into the nature and origins of such objects. Number 2. You saw something you shouldn't. In 2008, a large aircraft hovered above Stevensville, Texas. Many people in the community saw it, and according to the Mutual UFO Network, a pilot named Steve Allen reported that the unusual aircraft was flying at an estimated 3,000 miles per hour and was being chased by fighter jets. Then a man named Rick Sorrell said he saw the same thing while hunting. Later, Rick said a strange man knocked on his door and said, "Son, we have the same caliber weapons you have, but we have more of them. You need to shut your mouth about what you saw." Creepy. Was this the Men in Black, people from their government, or real aliens? Who knows, but if that happened to me, I think I'd move out of state. And coming in at number 1 is the Pentagon. The Pentagon's new Office for Investigating Potential UFO Sightings received hundreds of news reports in 2022, and while it can explain more than half of these events, a sizable chunk remains a mystery. Within the new batch of sightings, the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office and the Office of Director of National Intelligence say they're focusing on some 171 cases, including some in which objects appear to have demonstrated unusual flight characteristics or performance capabilities and require further analysis. Since it was formed last summer, the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office has received 366 reports of unidentified aerial phenomena, or UAP. That total reflects 247 new UAP reports and another 119 that occurred between March 2021 but hadn't been included in an earlier report. The new numbers indicate a steep rise in UAP sightings. The report released in June 2021 listed just 144 reports covering a 17-year period. With the subsequent additions, 510 UAP reports were in their files at the end of August 2022. Officials say they believe the rise in UAP reports is due to the US government efforts to destigmatize the topic of UAP and instead recognize the potential risk the phenomenon poses, both as an aviation hazard and potential adversarial activity, such as foreign surveillance efforts. I don't know though, it seems like they're really starting to believe in aliens to me.
Number 10, the pyramids. Here is the thing about ancient things we don't understand. They didn't have tractors or power tools. How on earth did they build these things? The belief that aliens helped build the pyramids has been a conspiracy theory since before the dawn of the internet. So let's dive in, shall we? The pyramids at Giza in Egypt were built around 4,500 years ago to serve as the resting place for great pharaohs and queens, and they are massive. The Great Pyramid is made of millions of precisely carved stones, about 2 tons each, not pounds, tons. 1 ton is about 2,000 pounds, so yeah. Even with today's equipment, it would be a massive challenge. There's also the factor of their precise alignment with Orion's belt that has alien theorists super excited. Another factor that has conspiracies buzzing is that these pyramids are somehow in better shape than the ones built after them. Scientists still don't quite know how they were built, so that's where aliens come in. Due to their complexity and size, aliens or some outer celestial force could be an explanation. But the leading theory is that they were built through the use of many hands. But even still, something doesn't click there. I think humans were a lot smarter than we often give them credit for, so I'm gonna admit I'm skeptical of the aliens theory, but I'm open to it. And I'm definitely open to all the others on this list. Number 9, Stonehenge. So for similar reasons to the massive building blocks of the pyramids, there are a lot of questions surrounding Stonehenge, and we have to talk about them. Just outside of Salisbury, England, there is a massive circle of 92 stones. We know it was built around 4,000 to 5,000 years ago, same time as the pyramids, and the weight of each stone varies from 4 tons to 50 tons. In July 2020, scientists found evidence that the Sarsen stones trace back to westward Wiltshire, around 25 kilometers north of the site. Individually, they weigh around 50,000 pounds. So imagine that. On top of that, scientists have no idea who built it or why. One of the most popular theories is that it was built by the Druids. Stonehenge also aligns with solstices and eclipses, which means whoever built it had their eyes carefully on the sky, probably in relationship to their pagan beliefs. But even still, how? Researchers have some theories that may suggest that they had the technology to accomplish this feat around that time, or did they? There are too many questions still unanswered for me to be completely sold that it didn't involve aliens. Number 8, Teotihuacan. Keeping with the theme of ancient potentially alien structures, we have Teotihuacan, aka the City of the Gods in Mexico. Though scientists have confirmed that it was built by human hands, many alien enthusiasts still think the jury is still out. Constructed over 2,000 years ago, Teotihuacan age, size, and complexity seems out of this world. The city could house over 100,000 people, and scientists believe that the structure was built through a combined effort of the Maya, Zapotec, and Mixtec people. But something really weird happened on May 4th, 2015. A tourist took a picture of the structure, not thinking anything of it at the time, but when he finally looked down at it, he noticed 2 floating discs above the structure. That, along with the sheer colossal size of the structures, fed the alien conversation. On top of that, as of 2018, scientists have only excavated around 10% of the site. It could be a little over that now, but there are plenty of secrets yet to be revealed, including if those 2 ships were attempting to return to a lost civilization they helped build. Number 7, the Green Children. The story of the 2 children who appeared in the village of Woolpit, Suffolk, England, has become what some would call lore, but that doesn't mean to say it didn't stem from something very, very real. In the 12th century, 2 children with vibrant green skin and weird clothes showed up in the village confused and alone. They spoke a language no one understood, but despite that, the village took them in. Initially, the 2 refused any and all food offered to them until they took a liking to raw beans. The more they ate and the longer they stayed, the more the green color began to fade. The 2 children eventually learned to speak English too, just enough to explain where they were from. They spoke of a place where it was perpetually twilight and had been helping their dad with the cattle when a loud bang sounded and they turned up in Woolpit, and there they stayed. The young boy died sadly after, but the little girl ended up growing old in Woolpit, even marrying. Some think they were from a parallel universe, others believe alien teleportation, but follow the paintings and many depictions of them to see if you can decide for yourself.
In our number 6 spot, we have alien eggs. In 2015, it was reported that 2 friends were walking along a frozen lake in Utah when they discovered the most peculiar thing. There was a strange formation in the middle of the lake that honestly gives me shivers to look at. If you are someone that feels uncomfortable looking at a bunch of dots together or eyeballs looking at you, definitely look away. This has the same sort of displeasing effect. Small holes were seen poking out from the ice with a strange formation lying underneath them. The theories around what this is include a UFO landing spot, something that aliens left when they visited Earth, and the popular theory is alien eggs. There were some things there that were slimy, so the 2 friends left them, and that's why people believe them to be eggs. What do you think this is? Let me know in the comment section below. In our number 5 spot, we have unknown frozen creatures. More frozen creatures in Siberia, you say? Yep, clearly this is an alien breeding ground of some sort. Strange creatures were recently found throughout Siberia. Many of these unknown creatures were found deceased and frozen in huge blocks of ice. There are creatures that have never been discovered which are believed to be alien, and even a species of dog was discovered that is so old it goes back to 1000 AD. Wow, well, I guess we're all going to have to plan our trip to Siberia, eh? I've always wanted to go on an alien expedition, so this is definitely where I will be going next. In our number 4 spot, we have frozen on Mars. Okay, this one is like a little bit of a stretch, as this evidence was not found frozen on this planet, but it is evidence of alien life, and it was found on Mars, and Mars can get to a temperature of minus 60 degrees Celsius, which is way past freezing, so whatever. Imagine that this evidence was found frozen, as it could very well have been. I just can't prove that, and I wanted to share this anyway. In 1976, the Viking Mars landers detected chemical signatures that indicated potential past life on the planet, or perhaps present life. An experiment mixing soil with radioactive carbon-labeled nutrients tested positive, and even though other tests done at the time did not test positive, the original scientists and others that have reanalyzed the data still stand by the original finding. There is definitely a possibility of alien life on Mars. In our number 3 spot, we have aliens in the water. In an interview in 2017, ex-NASA scientist Alan Stern spoke about the theory of alien life underwater frozen. He mentions that aliens are bound to exist and that scientists should focus more on water worlds. When he was asked about why aliens haven't been found to date, he was quoted as saying that there are many possible explanations. The great majority of worlds with biology and civilizations are water-ocean worlds. ETs at the bottom of ocean worlds would be protected from the likes of deadly radiation from space, if their planet does not have a protective atmosphere like it does here on Earth, and exploding stars. He went on to speak about how ocean worlds are usually freezing cold and that these aliens would be living beneath a thick sheet of ice, and that is what would make it impossible to contact them. Fascinating. I could totally see this to be true, as there's so much of the ocean that we haven't even begun to explore yet. In our number 2 spot, we have alien fossils from Antarctica. Whoa, this is a wild one. In 1996, NASA scientists announced that they came upon a meteorite that appeared to be from Mars. A fossilized microbe in a potato-shaped lump of Martian rock was how it was described. It is believed that the meteorite was possibly from Mars and blasted off in a collision and wandered the solar system for, approximately 15 million years before coming to Earth and freezing for a little while in Antarctica. After further analysis of the rock, it apparently contained organic molecules and tiny specks of mineral magnetite, as well as nanobacteria. There is much debate about whether this fully indicates alien life, but a lot of scientists believe that it does. In our number 1 spot, we have a frozen ancient civilization. In 2017, there was a whistleblower by the name of Corey Goad, who claimed that it was discovered that an ancient alien civilization is frozen and buried under 2 miles of ice in Antarctica. Apparently, this discovery was made in 1939 by a German expedition, but it was only until 2002 that archaeologists and scientists were allowed on the site. Apparently, Goad originally only knew about this secret expedition because of a USAF officer working in the program, but eventually Goad himself journeyed to Antarctica with the US Air Force to witness this secret project, where they have discovered the ruins of a 55,000-year-old alien civilization. Not much more was revealed, but hopefully in the next 10 years we will learn more about these findings.
Starting off in our number 10 spot, we have the mysterious beam. Pretty recently, scientists explained that they captured a mysterious beam of energy that was coming from the star that is the closest known star to the Sun, Proxima Centauri. This star is small and low mass and is located around 4.2 light years away from us. The thing about this star is that it has one rocky exoplanet that is 17% larger than Earth in its habitable zone, which would make liquid water a possibility on the planet. This planet's habitability has been disputed throughout the years, but this signal could be a sign that it may be even more habitable than any of us know. Scientists explained that the signal shifted while it was being observed, which mimicked the shift caused by a movement of a planet. They're taking extra precautions to figure out what exactly caused this shift in case it was some sort of mundane source. It will, of course, take some time to figure out, but it's all very exciting. In our number 9 spot today, we have the Venus cloud. Last year in September of 2020, astrobiologists everywhere were excited and skeptical of some new potential evidence that had been found in the upper clouds of Venus. Firstly, can we just take a second to really think about how cool of a job an astrobiologist has? Anyway, the new findings were pointing to the potential of the presence of phosphine in the clouds. Phosphine is a rare and usually poisonous gas that on Earth is basically always met with the presence of living organisms. Venus hasn't really been top of the list of choices for finding potential life due to its surface temperature and pressure and the sulfuric acid clouds, but this evidence could prove to say something otherwise. 2 separate telescopes were able to pick up the signatures of phosphine in a cloud that had a similar temperature and pressure to Earth, and while this isn't concrete evidence of space bugs, it will at least be a reminder that we should be continuing to look for life even in the most unlikely places. And hey, maybe it is space bugs. In our number 8 spot today, we have Uma. Okay, so this is one piece of evidence that actually has scientists fighting over what is going on with it. So a few years ago, scientists all agreed that we had found an object that was flying through our solar system, and they called it Uma, and it was widely agreed that it was an interstellar comet that had swung out from around another star. But upon closer examination, they realized that something was propelling it and causing it to accelerate, and this is when the debate started, because they just don't know why. Avi Loeb, who's a Harvard University astrophysicist, proposed the idea that rather than a comet, this could be an alien probe that is being pushed by a light sail, which is a very wide but extremely thin piece of material that accelerates by being pushed by solar radiation. Other scientists didn't agree with this and instead said that it's possible that hydrogen ice could have melted off of the object in a way that would mimic a rocket engine or something of that nature. But in August of last year, Avi wrote in a study that hydrogen ice is too easily heated and it would have melted off long before it reached our solar system. I guess we just have to wait it out while the scientists debate and gather more evidence to really know what's going on behind this one. In our number 7 spot today, we have the NASA Viking experiment. This is one of the more debated ones on today's list, but that does not mean it isn't evidence. In 1976, NASA's Viking landers tested the soil on Mars and found some chemicals that could be attributed to signs of life. The soil was mixed with radioactive carbon labeled nutrients and then tested for the production of radioactive methane gas. The test ended up receiving a positive result, which could indicate that something in the soil is metabolizing the nutrients to produce the gas. Despite further efforts, there still hasn't been any life found, but one of the scientists who worked on this original project, and others as well, stand by what they found and argued that the technology at the time wasn't advanced enough to find the key evidence of life. Hopefully with the new Perseverance rover that landed recently, we'll be able to find the signs on Mars that we have been looking for.
Number 6, Val Camonica, Italy cave drawings. So we talked about petroglyphs last time, and if you don't know, stop this video now and check out part 1 because I talk about it there. Go check out part 1. Pause. You back? Okay, good. For those of you who are like, nah, petroglyphs are tiny little cave drawings depicting everyday life of the ancients, usually carved into bronze or cave walls showing people hunting, gathering, and communing with aliens, you know, that kind of stuff. The Val Camonica cave drawings in Italy fueled a lot of alien hype when they were discovered. Carved some 8,000 to 10,000 years ago before the Bronze Age, the glyphs appear to show men with helmets on their heads and oddly shaped weapons. They even have little lines shooting out from their helmets as if they glowed. Alien hunters around the world consider this as indisputable proof that aliens visited our ancient relatives, so who knows. Number 5, 250,000-year-old aluminum. A couple days ago on date night, we ordered in and the packaging all came wrapped in aluminum. We use it every day. It's one of the most common materials found on Earth, making up approximately 8.2% of the Earth's crust, so we find it a lot. But did you know we only figured out how to extract it in the 1800s? So what the heck was a 5-pound aluminum object doing buried next to 10,000-year-old Macedon bones in Romania? Answer: aliens. No one knew at all around that time what aluminum was or how to extract it, yet aluminum made up 89% of the metal wedge they found. The object was clearly crafted by someone, and many have theorized that it could have been anything from a tool to the landing foot of an alien spaceship. No one knows the answer, so that just leaves one option. Okay, maybe a few, but one guess onto which one is my favorite. Number 4, the Karnak stones. This is like Stonehenge, but 3 times the size, quite literally. On the northwest coast of France in Karnak, 3,000 megalithic granite stones weighing anywhere from 50 to 100 tons are placed in rows over 2 miles long. They were carved from local rock formations and erected 4,500 to 2,500 BC at the end of the Stone Age. It is absolutely mind-boggling, and archaeologists are baffled. Legends say giants built Karnak, but the leading alien theory is that they were built in order to communicate with beings in the sky. What do you think that means? Mainstream archaeologists speculate that they are actually tomb markers, but ancient astronaut theorists began to notice that they are actually laid out in exact geometric positions. The angles are all the same, and they follow the Pythagorean theorem. What and who were they trying to communicate with, and why? All right, before we hit our top 3, if you like this video and you're sticking with it and want a part 3, you know what to do. Like this video, subscribe for more, and comment comment on what you want to see next. Number 3, the Ulfbert swords. Okay, instead of the Lady in the Lake, what if Excalibur was actually given to us by aliens? And by Excalibur, I mean like the closest thing, which were the Ulfbert swords. So you pretty much had to carry a sword with you at all times in medieval times because you just never knew what was around the corner. Thieves, hooligans, who knows? But they were actually pretty expensive. A run-of-the-mill one would cost anywhere between $1,200 to $24,000 in today's prices. But Ulfbert swords were priceless, and the technology it took to make them shouldn't have existed. So how were they made? The Ulfbert swords are a collection of Viking swords dated between 800 to 1000 AD. They were the strongest, sharpest, and most flexible swords ever made, but the technology used to make them couldn't be replicated until the 1900s. The process for combining the materials used to make the swords required an oven set at 1600 degrees Celsius, which was not only hot enough to melt the materials, but also draw any impurities. Then other metals could be added. Production of these swords appears to have ceased within 200 years of their inception, but no other name besides Ulfbert lends a clue as to who made them. So how did they get the technology, and was it actually made by a human, are the two questions that surround these swords. We'll leave it up to, I don't know, the future to decide. I guess we'll never know. Who knows? Number 2, the Dropa stones. Could the Dropa stones be definitive evidence of an ancient alien visitation? Let's discuss. In 1938, 716 12,000-year-old discs were found in a cave somewhere on the border of China and Tibet. Each is 1 foot in diameter, and stranger yet, they seem to depict some kind of strange event. Along the walls of the cave where they were found, strange markings depicting men in round helmets with the sun, moon, and stars surrounding them are on the walls. Even stranger, Dr. Chi Pute also recorded finding strangely shaped skeleton bodies with heads larger than normal. But even more suspiciously, the discs disappeared after the story of the alien visitation was translated from the discs. They were stored in the Beijing University for 2 decades before they were released to be studied finally. However, after the stones were taken down after their exhibition, they haven't been seen since. What do we think, friends? Let us know in the comments. Number 1, Sirpur, India, the Sarang Tila Temple. This structure dates back to the 17th century AD, but was buried by an earthquake in 11th century AD. But somehow, it survived. Blocks were held together by Ayurvedic paste, which was one of the main reasons it survived, along with 3 hollow shafts beneath the structure designed to dissipate an earthquake. The recipe for the paste is 4,500 years old and is from an ancient Indian text called the Maya Mamantan, an architectural manuscript passed down from the king of the demigods Mayasura, who oversaw various construction projects, including cities in the sky. There are many points in the temple that imply that the knowledge came from somewhere else. Even the head archaeologist Dr. Arun Sharma believes that aliens visited and gave the townspeople the technology.
In your opinion, where did this knowledge come from?
Those who are more advanced in other planets used to visit the Earth, and I think they must have given some knowledge to the local.
Kicking off our list at number 10, monsters and aliens. In medieval times, things that were considered alien were not the same as our understanding today, not even close. For example, long ago in the 4th and 5th century BCE, 2 ancient Greek travelers visited India and described these remote places and its customs. Now back then they described these lands as different worlds, like literally different worlds, with their customs being viewed with fear and misunderstanding, of course, classic. Ctesias of Knidos and Megasthenes, they both have odd details in their journeys that have been documented and detailed in Pliny the Elder's natural history. They're a little weird. Back then, a Donastray was a monster or some sort of alien that was from the legends of Alexander. Now, this monster would catch a traveler in the woods, and it could speak any language that they could, ergo trouble. And at that point, this monster pretends to know their relatives to gain their trust. Then the Donastray devours the whole victim, just eats them. Yum. Eventually, this monster got a reputation for having a lion's head, and the whole eating people thing, well, perhaps it was just a lion. That could have been the case. Also mentioned in natural history are Tartars. Back then, Tartars were believed to have come from a different world, specifically that of hell. But in reality, they were the ferocious Mongols that invaded Europe in the Middle Ages. Not from hell, not even close. After they conquered Poland in the 13th century, it was believed that they came from hell. That's how scary they were. They weren't aliens, they weren't monsters, they were just Mongols. That's all. Maybe they're just Mongols flying up still. We have no idea. Number 9, the baptism of Christ. All right, let's get to some proof of this, out of world alien life. Not a line, let's talk about flying ships, right? That's why we're here. In the form of art too. How lovely and jarring is that? Currently displayed in the Fitzwilliam Museum in Cambridge lies the baptism of Christ, a painting created by the Dutch artist Erik de Geld back in 1710. Now this painting of his is considered proof to some of some secret knowledge to the public. Now the painting shows these 4 massive beams of light coming down from what appears to be a disc-like object onto, of course, the baptism happening below. Some good alien lighting, that's good. It's almost like this lighting here, but, less lists, more baptisms. That's what it was like. Now I know this is later than the Dark Ages, of course, but when it comes to art and alien life, I have to throw this one in, of course. Because where did this idea come from? What was the inspiration behind this one? Who were they? Who were these DJs from above? No idea. How long have aliens been around? Medieval times? The Victorian era? Ancient Egypt? With the pyramids? Oh, who knows? Number 8, the Madonna with Saint Giovanni. One of my favorite paintings of all time. Here we go. This and the Screaming Woman. That's good. I love drippy art and aliens. Always a good time. In fact, if I saw a UFO, I would do the scream, probably. The Madonna with Saint Giovanni is a fascinating painting as it shows an airborne craft in its top right corner behind Madonna's shoulder. It's right there. Normally I draw a sun, but here it's a UFO, so that's a little different. That's cool. Now some have speculated that she's trying to even protect her children from this alien flying object, which, well, now I can't unsee. But what do we think this is? If it's not a UFO, then what's up? Maybe it was a shooting star. I don't know. I saw a green meteor last night in Toronto and it was pretty jarring. If it were the Dark Ages, I would have no idea what I just saw burning for 14 seconds. It was green too, so scary. Maybe I would paint it as such. I don't know. Also, a man is seen looking at the UFO and his dog is barking at it. So if anything, we need to interview that guy more than anything. So what did you see? Okay. And what did your dog see, more importantly? Number 7, aliens and wonders. When we look back at the Dark Ages, we don't have much. I mean, really, we have a few paintings, some books. In comparison to all the documentation we have today, we have no idea how much we're missing in history at that time. Aliens in the Dark Ages were often these illustrations of monsters or odd humanoid creatures. Now these monsters were actually used to depict social groups that did not adhere to the standards of these, old white Christian men, essentially. This painting of a siren, for example, it's a bird, woman, monster, she's in the ocean doing something, she's naked. This originated in Greek mythology. She is surrounded by men who've drowned after being lured to her by probably sung. Now the imagery of the siren suggests that the feminine corruption is ultimately responsible for the downfall of men, right? Not that sirens are real, that they're flying drones in and out of the oceans. I mean, today I can't explain those drones going in and out of the oceans, but do I think that they're naked women flying around? No, I mean, but no, probably not.
In our number 6 spot today, we have black holes. When we think of black holes, we usually think of how absolutely terrifying they are, but that may be changing. There has actually been the discovery of a planet that is floating around a black hole. The forces around the hole are also providing heat for the planet as well, but there is one catch, and that is the fact that the planet needs to orbit at the speed of light. This would mean that a second on that planet would be hours on ours, which is kind of difficult to comprehend. The planet would have to be in what is called the Goldilocks zone though, because if it's too far from the black hole, it'll be too cold and there won't be any liquid water, but if it's too close, it will of course be sucked into the black hole by the gravitational forces. It's definitely a pretty crazy idea, but it is possible that there could be some life in this situation. In our number 5 spot today, we have fossilized microbes. Another piece of controversial evidence that came from Mars was announced in 1996. NASA scientists announced that they had potentially found what appeared maybe fossilized microbes in a lump of Martian rock. It is likely that this rock came off during some sort of Mars collision and just casually floated around the solar system for 15 million years before landing in Antarctica in 1984. Just casual space stuff. After analyzing the rock, it was revealed that it contained organic molecules and small specks of mineral magnetite, which is sometimes found in the bacteria on Earth. And upon further analysis with an electron microscope, it was claimed that there were signs of nanobacteria. Since then, some claim that the magnetite wasn't that similar to those found in bacteria, and there is a belief that the signs of nanobacteria could have been grown in a lab. In our number 4 spot today, we have UFO footage. Remember last year when the Navy released footage of UFOs, but we were in a global pandemic, so we didn't really have time to freak out about it? Well, let's freak out about it now, because what the heck was captured on those videos? The US Navy released footage last year where they had captured video of some sort of wingless aircraft that was traveling at hypersonic speed. Of course, people are wary to believe that this is true signs of alien life and alien visitors, but the thing is, we simply just don't really know what this is. We know it's not something that is known to us yet, so this could definitely be a sign of some sort of alien life, and I guess we'll just have to wait and see. In our number 3 spot today, we have this bacterial experiment. So we've talked a bit on today's list about how we tend to think of life only being able to exist on other planets that are similar to ours with a similar atmosphere within a certain distance of a star, but we've also discussed how this more narrow thinking might not be the best scenario. On Earth, most living creatures require oxygen to live, but the problem with a lot of planets is that there's far more hydrogen and helium. Last year, scientists decided to take 2 different bacteria. One was E. coli, which can be found in the guts of humans, and ordinary yeast, which is used in things like bread and beer. With these 2 bacteria, they tried to see if they could live in different environments. When placed within flasks that contained either pure hydrogen or pure helium, they still managed to grow, just at a slower pace. This evidence goes to show that there might be living organisms that we haven't found yet because we are just looking in the wrong places. In our number 2 spot today, we have the fact that they might have died off. This one is a bit disappointing, to be honest, but it basically is just a theory that it's probably pretty likely that there were aliens at some point, but since the universe is so old, they might have already died out. All life and cultures rise and fall, and researchers put together a model last year that would give more insight into the likelihood of this theory. They took things into account like sun-like stars that are not too close or too far from planets that are similar to Earth, as well as how frequently there are deadly radiation blasting supernovas, which of course would prove to be a huge problem for life forms, as well as the time that it takes for intelligent life to evolve, provided all the conditions are right. And once the evolution has taken place, how long would it take for a tool-bearing form of life to then destroy itself? That's a lot of factors to consider, and through all of this, it was found that the highest likelihood of life before ours in the Milky Way emerged around 5.5 billion years ago, which would place that before our planet was even formed. This, of course, would have provided plenty of time for all of the events I just mentioned to have occurred. I hope this one isn't true, because I really do hope that there are aliens out there. In our number 1 spot today, we have Europa. One of Jupiter's moons, called Europa, has a red tinge to it, and in 2001, NASA scientists revealed that it's possible that alien microbes might be responsible for the red color. The surface of the moon is mostly ice, but it has been shown that it reflects infrared radiation in a bizarre way. This means that something is binding it together, but researchers haven't been able to come up with the correct combination of elements and compounds to make the data make sense. There are some bacteria on Earth that can thrive in extreme conditions and that also have a red and brown color, which could potentially be responsible for the color on this moon. The surface temperature might be too cold for them to survive, but the warmer interior might be where they are located. Some geological activity on the moon could then push them closer to the surface, where they are then flash frozen in place.
At number 10, the Anita experiment, the scientific discovery that proves the existence of parallel universes. Now, okay, this one isn't technically aliens per se, but I wanted to mention it first because not only is it real, but come on, what's more exciting? Extraterrestrial visitors or extra-dimensional ones? Huh? Imagine a remote research station in Antarctica where scientists diligently hunt for cosmic rays. Now that's intriguing on its own, but it gets even better. See, naturally they had their instruments facing the sky, but then these researchers suddenly detect not 1, but 2 signals shooting out of the ground beneath them, defying all logic. See, these rays of neutrinos are supposed to come from supernova, so it's highly improbable that the rays are passing through the Earth without coming into contact with a single particle of matter, only to land on a tiny weather balloon in the sky. To make sense of this, scientists dived into over 40 papers offering a buffet of explanations. Dark matter, elusive particles called sterile neutrinos, and then, the grandest of them all, a parallel universe, essentially a mirror image of ours, but where time runs backwards. Imagine that! This audacious idea isn't pulled out of thin air either. It's rooted in actual science, a theorem which hints that alongside our universe, an antimatter universe stretches backward through time before the Big Bang. But let's tap the brakes here, because a more down-to-earth theory has surfaced. That's right, hold your antimatter horses, because it turns out it's more likely that these signals were simply reflected off of ice or skipped off subglacial lakes. lakes. The truth, it seems, is more grounded, reflecting high energy particles, not parallel dimensions. Sorry, y'all. I mean, unless you want to go ahead and put away Occam's razor. But before I do, if you're enjoying the video so far, you can support the channel by pressing like, subscribing to Most Amazing, and ringing that notification bell. At number 9, alien fossils. Back in 1996, NASA dropped a bombshell. Well, not literally. They stumbled upon a meteorite from Mars right there on our very own Antarctica. This space wanderer, a potato-shaped piece of Martian real estate, harbored something truly astonishing, a fossilized microbe. That's like finding a cosmic postcard in your backyard. This meteorite most likely embarked on a 15 million year journey across our solar neighborhood before cozying up on Earth. Now, let's dig deeper. The rock didn't just bring this Martian visitor, it also packed organic molecules. But before we declare aliens, bear in mind that this is an ongoing debate in the scientific arena. Some argue that this is a smoking pew-pew of extraterrestrial existence, while skeptics keep their feet firmly on Earth. What's your take on this otherworldly puzzle? At number 8 is the frozen ancient civilization. Enter Corey Good, a name synonymous with the clandestine narrative that spirals deep beneath the Antarctic ice. The year was 2017 when Good's voice resonated through the annals of conspiratorial discourse, asserting that a buried treasure lay beneath 2 miles of frigid ice, an ancient alien civilization, frozen in time. But let's rewind to 1939, a German expedition that allegedly stumbled upon this enigma. Fast forward to 2002, and the site begrudgingly opened its icy gate to scientists and archaeologists. What's captivating is Gode's own voyage, facilitated by the US Air Force, to witness the fabled civilization. A civilization that was rumored to be standing 55,000 years in Earth's past. This story leaves us yearning for forthcoming years to yield more insights into these Antarctic enigmas. At number 7, the Antarctic Pyramids. In 2016, rumors of pyramid-like mountains circulated the internet, capturing the imaginations of many. Could it be a creation of ancient civilizations, or perhaps, cue the dramatic pause, evidence of ancient extraterrestrial intervention? This square-based pyramid is perched upon the Ellsworth Range, standing around 4,000 feet tall. That's like 10 times the size of the pyramids of Giza. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. Or should I say, tip of the pyramid? Reports of plant and bacterial life dating back eons also have come to light, suggesting that maybe, just maybe, a prehistoric, or should I say pre-human society once grazed this frigid expanse, crafting not only pyramids but also tending to the vegetation. Bam! Proof of ancient aliens. Or just a neat geological formation. I'll let y'all decide in the comments.
Number 6, medieval sky battle. Short and sweet, this one here. Okay, this looks like the inside of my old high school locker. There's a lot going on, a lot of ideas, a lot of doodles. This Nuremberg broadsheet shows us a battle, an Avengers level threat really, it looks like. And this took place on April 14th, 1561, whatever this was. The aerial battle involved globes, crosses, and even tubes? Tubes? I don't know. Could these be the same tubes that we see today that we think are UFOs? These cigar-shaped UFOs have been breaking the internet these days, but well, maybe it's the same vehicle. Maybe they just saw it back then. People viewed the event as a divine warning. Yeah, you don't say. That's, yeah, fair. Number 5, medieval cloud ships. This is my favorite. I actually love this one. In a 9th century Latin manuscript, Liber contra insalum vulgi opinonium, great title, really rolls off thy tongue. It was written by the Archbishop of Lyons, and in it he complained about thy French peasantry's belief in a certain religion called Magonia, from whence come ships in the clouds. Yeah, Magonia, let's go and visit that. It's in the clouds somewhere. The occupants of these vessels carry back to their region, again in the sky, fruits of the earth which are destroyed by hail and tempests. Alright, so aliens steal our fruit and then go back. Okay, cool. It's not too bad, could be worse. The sailors paying rewards to the storm wizards would receive corn and other produce in return. Hey, trade you some food for food. Alright. Peace. Jacob Grimm, a 19th century folklorist, speculated that Magonia takes us to some region where Latin was once spoke, and we refer to it as Magus, almost like a magical land, aka aliens or space wizards. I like space wizards a lot more than aliens, I'll tell you that. Imagine M. Night Shyamalan, he's like, yeah, so a space wizard walks by the birthday party. You're like, what? Number 4, the miracle of snow. Being Canadian, I want none of that. I want no miracles of any snowfalls. 1428, another painting, another speculation. Here we go. This one here was painted by Masolino de Panical. The miracle of the snow shows the legend of snowfall that happened on a hot summer day, somehow in Rome in the 4th century. Yeah, how does it happen, right? Jesus and Mary are seen overlooking this incident from atop of, you guessed it, a cloud. Cool, great. It's like the box seats back then. But behind them, again, are disc-shaped objects. UFOs, like, you know, the disc shape that we see over and over, century after another. That's what scares me with all these paintings, that they're all kinda more or less the same. They're all a UFO. These objects could be clouds. That's a fun theory. No, it's not a fun theory at all. It's a boring one. They're aliens, right? Hit that thumbs up for aliens. If we had one of these, we'd click that down there for sure. Number 3, Medusa. Could Medusa be an alien? You know, with the snake, hear me out, let's talk about it. Another one of the most recent paintings on our list is Medusa by Caravaggio. Now, we all know the story of Medusa, right? This woman with snakes for hair that when you look at her, you turn to stone. You know, that's a nice fun story before you go to sleep. And this painting here really captures her essence, you know, perfectly. Her beauty, her grace, and her eyes that you can't really look at in real life. Now we can see her, right? In this horrific moment. This painting was meant to be a depiction of the defeat of Medusa, and legend goes that Perseus, who is the son of Zeus and Danae, he was given a shield by Athena. Pretty helpful shield. They're like, thanks Athena, that'll probably help in battle. He took this shield to battle Medusa herself, and he managed to outsmart her by letting her catch a glimpse of her own reflection in the shields. Yeah, gotcha. Made you look, Medusa. And then she turned herself into stone, and that's when he took his sword and then ended her life in a certain way that involves this being off of her body. I won't say the word, but you know what's up. This is the moment that the painting is portraying. The painting was created by Michelangelo in 1597, and it was the second of this kind, which is honestly really creepy. But again, where did this inspiration come from? Aliens? UFOs? Monsters? Are these things real? A lot of people think aliens are like octopus in nature, like, you know, like Nope, spoilers alert, but that's kind of very octopus in nature. Maybe that's what aliens look like. Maybe they have octopus heads. Number 2, Underworld. This painting by Hans Memling was created in 1485, another medieval horrifying painting of another world. Looks like hell, but we'll see. This is one of 3 double-sided panels that were created, and it features a banner that reads, "There is no redemption in hell." Fun one, that's cool. It says like Tyler underneath it. This painting features some sort of devil alien creature with fangs and wings. I don't know, angel wings, bat wings, not really sure here. But it has an entire face on its belly, which, I don't know, that says alien to me. Never seen one of those up here in our Earth planet. Its hands and feet are claw-like, and it's depicted stepping or dancing on the backs of people who are in the mouths of some sort of another beast. So it's like a beast in a mouth situation. That's cool, that's art. It's absolutely terrifying, especially for those who believe in the existence of hell or other worlds, especially these medieval worlds like Cloudland or whatever that is. Sounds way more fun than that one, that's for sure. And finally, number 1, Lost City of the Incas. Did aliens build this medieval world? No, probably not, but it's a fun one to end on, right? Currently a wonder of the modern world, Machu Picchu was built over 500 years ago. It was first discovered in 1911 by archaeologist Hiram Bingham. Now originally, he and a small team were heading out to find the ancient city of Vilcabamba. But during their commute from Cusco, they found, well, this ancient city instead. They're like, hey, I mean, also pretty good. Many of these stones, of course, weighed a lot, over 50 tons, impossible to move. And with Machu Picchu translating to Old Mountain, this seems like an impossible build from the Inca. Should be like, this is like tripping me out as I'm talking about it. I'm like, how did they do it? This makes no sense. The city is designed perfectly. I mean, after 500 years of foul weather, even earthquakes, nothing's destroyed this ancient city. No idea how they did it. Probably aliens, just like they did the pyramids, right? Elon Musk thinks that aliens built the pyramids, so I mean, if he's saying that, right?
Number 10, 2 white lights. Okay, so this didn't happen in the States, but Canada. And all I'm saying is that Biden could get some info out of Mr. Trudeau if he really wanted to. On January 29th, 2023, Canadian air traffic controllers and pilots couldn't identify 2 white lights moving in a circular pattern reported over Canada's Northwest Territories. Good evening, just wondering, do you got 2 planes that are just to the east of your field doing circuits or maneuvers? A crew member aboard the Canadian North flight headed to Yellowknife asked their traffic controllers. Negative, I have no reported traffic in the area, the Yellowknife air traffic controller replied. Do you have a visual on something? The crew responded somewhat hesitantly, yeah, we're looking at 2 lights dancing around here to the east of your field. They're above us, about I don't know what. We're not seeing them on TCAS, traffic collision avoidance system, but we can see the lights moving around. around. Then there's a pause before the crew member radios back to say, "We're not crazy. No, we believe you," the air traffic controller replies, and the sighting remains unexplained. I need answers, people. Why are there just 2 random lights in the sky? Number 9. Over New Mexico. On February 21st, 2021, a pilot flying over New Mexico at an altitude of 37,000 feet reported seeing a long cylindrical object that almost looked like a cruise missile type of thing moving really fast over the top of them, according to the published audio. American Airlines confirmed that the radio transmission came from Flight 2292. The FAA a few days later stated a pilot reported seeing an object over New Mexico shortly after noon local time on Sunday, February 21st, 2021. FAA air traffic controllers did not see any object in the area on their radar scopes. Seems like air traffic control can never see these objects, but the pilots can, and I can't tell if that's better or worse. Number 8. Shot down object over Alaska. On February 10th, 2023, aka like a month ago, the US military shot down an unidentified airborne object over northeastern Alaska. US officials said they believed the object to be a balloon, but couldn't confirm it since it broke into pieces after hitting the ocean, the New York Times reported. How convenient. News outlets owned by the Chinese Communist Party said Biden's response has shown the world how immature and irresponsible the US has been in dealing with this case. Oof, even other people are criticizing him. Number 7. Shot down object over Lake Huron. On February 12, 2023, just 2 days later, a US F-16 jet shot down an unidentified object over Lake Huron. An octagonal object with strings hanging from it was detected over northern Montana, Wisconsin, and the upper peninsula of Michigan at 20,000 feet. This was believed to be the same object tracked over Montana and monitored by the government the night before. Melissa Dalton, Assistant Defense Secretary of Homeland Defense, and General Glenn Venherk, head of U.S. North Command, say officials could not definitively assess what the objects were, so they acted out of an abundance of caution to protect U.S. security and interest. These most recent objects did not pose a military threat, but their path and proximity to sensitive DoD sites and the altitude that they were flying could be a hazard to civilian aviation and thus raise concerns, Melissa said. Operations are underway with multiple agencies, including the Coast Guard, to gather the object's remains and determine where it came from, they added. And when or if they figure out what it is, I wonder if they'll actually tell us. Probably not, though.
At number 6, Admiral Byrd's Crystal City. Esteemed U.S. Naval Officer Admiral Richard Byrd was one of the first pilots to fly over both poles, organizing Operation High Jump, the largest expedition to ever travel to Antarctica with all kinds of ships, aircraft, and crew, in order to scout locations for potential military bases. But during his explorations, Admiral Byrd allegedly came upon something highly unexpected. The following comes not from a public account, but from his own diary, discovered by his son after Byrd's passing, in which he recounts an extraordinary discovery. Upon encountering a large cave in the South Pole through which he could easily fly his plane, Byrd steers his plane into the opening and flew underneath the earth. As he flies within the massive cave, he encroaches upon an incredibly temperate and lush environment, not something you'd expect in the South Pole. But that's just the beginning. He tells about how he sees a shimmering rainbow city made out of crystal. Suddenly he loses control of his plane as flying disc-shaped objects lead him to the ground, whereupon he's escorted to a being which he refers to as the Master in his diary, who tells Byrd that it's massively disappointed with nuclear weapons and how they've recently destroyed Hiroshima and Nagasaki, seeming to really be concerned with what's going on the surface, telling Byrd that these aliens hope humanity will ultimately stop this. At number 5, a UFO is discovered. In October of 2020, satellite images of Antarctica unveiled a peculiar sight. Amidst the icy expanse, an object resembling a semicircular flying saucer emerged, slightly elevated and casting a telltale shadow. Believed by some to be an ancient aircraft dating back thousands if not millions of years. The notion of aliens opting for this secluded spot brims with intrigue. However, before we leap into intergalactic conclusions, it's essential that we exercise caution. While this image sparks conjecture, we do lack conclusive evidence about its origin or purpose. At number 4 is the alien base. If this next story is to be believed, there's allegedly a secret alien base with advanced and unconventional weapons hidden in the icy waters of the Antarctic. Antarctic. According to a video uploaded by UFO hunters, a mysterious anomaly about 180 kilometers off the coast of Antarctica has been spotted. They speculate that it's not just some kind of hangar for a spaceship, but that actual aliens might be residing there too. Now this may veer toward the conspiracy side rather than urban legend, but hey, it's all in good fun. Some believers are advocating for an expedition to confirm the existence of these aliens, while others voice concerns about potentially sparking an intergalactic war if we're not careful. So whatever it is, let's just hope we tread carefully. At number 3, the Kraken. The Kraken is a legendary maritime menace straight from the annals of Scandinavian folklore, a colossal cephalopod-like creature feared for its ship-swallowing antics and sailor-dragging tendencies. But could this creature of nautical nightmares actually be an alien? Yeah, you heard me right. A Reddit user named Bavin Hunter has set their investigative sights on Google Earth, claiming that they spot what appears to be a Kraken near Deception Island in Antarctica. Quite the ironic location, I must say. They suggest that this dark spot lurking in the depths might just be this mystical monster. Granted, we've got some real-life cephalopods that can stir the imagination, but they're not exactly Kraken-sized. Or maybe it's a cryptic alien being lurking beneath the icy depths. At number 2, alien DNA. Traces of potential alien DNA were discovered in the Antarctic, a mind-boggling revelation that recently shook the scientific community regarding DNA traces found beyond the depths of certain Antarctic caverns. Algae DNA, intertwined with fragments from minute creatures, paints a picture of potential alien origin. Though no immediate creatures were unearthed, this discovery opens portals to speculation. Could Antarctica, once deemed a barren expanse, have teemed with diverse life forms? For life here are akin to an extraterrestrial habitat, hinting at hidden chambers harboring unexpected life. Warmth emanating from beneath the icy veneer adds to the intrigue, making it plausible for life to have gained a foothold here. At number 1 is the crashed UFO on Google Maps. In the realm of mysterious Antarctic enigmas, 2019 incident lit the extraterrestrial fuse. Enter Scott C. Waring, a fervent UFO enthusiast who, armed with Google Maps, embarked on a digital Antarctic odyssey. His pixelated gaze locked onto a triangular UFO ensnared within the icy clutches. With a distinctive hump and formidable edges, this alien ridge, should the thought unshackle this craft, could we witness an eerie revival of extraterrestrial occupants? This UFO trapped in icy stasis awaits a tangible inquiry, as its revelation could potentially reshape our cosmic worldview. So as we peel back the layers of ice and venture deeper into Antarctic's hidden past, we're left with a trove of unsolved puzzles. Are these clues pointing to the extraterrestrial visitors, or are they simply the product of natural phenomena that we've yet to fully comprehend? The allure of the unknown keeps us asking questions, keeps us searching for that flicker of insight that might illuminate the truth. And whether you find yourself firmly grounded in skepticism or ready to embrace the possibility of otherworldly contact, one thing is for sure: the Antarctic holds its secrets close.
Did you enjoy this video about UFO research? Well, check out this video about Area 51. It will blow your socks off, and it's some of the best content we've seen. Click the video now